Hi there, in this episode we're going to talk about the rule of law. What the rule of law means is that we have laws, and those laws apply to everyone, even those in government. The rule of law is one of the main foundations of every democracy. There are several ways that people put the rule of law into place in a democracy. One is through elections. We elect our legislatures, we elect our president or our chief executives. That's one way that we follow the law. We also have freedoms like speech and assembly and petition. Those freedoms keep the rule of law in place as well. And then lastly, everybody exercising their responsibility as a citizen also helps to put the rule of law into play. In a democracy, the main idea of the government is protect citizens. Remember, we have the social contract where we give up some of our freedom in order to form a government that will protect us. So a democracy, a government's job is to protect its citizens. We do this through the rule of law. The rule of law, though, does not apply equally to every person. So if you're a legal immigrant, you're not going to be protected by the law the same way a natural-born citizen is. Likewise, you, as a minor, are not going to be treated the same by the rule of law. If you are arrested for a crime, they're going to send you to the juvenile court system instead of the adult court system. Likewise, if somebody is mentally disabled, they too are not going to be held to the same standard by the court system. The rule of law is set up with the constitutions. Articles 1, 2, and 3, which uses the separation of powers and checks and balances, they're setting up that rule of law. The Bill of Rights also does a really big job of setting up the rule of law. There are several amendments that help set up the rule of law here in our nation. For example, the First Amendment, which gives us our freedom of speech and press and religion and petition and assembly, that's all part of the rule of law. The Fourth Amendment, which says that the government cannot search or seize your property without a proper warrant, that's the rule of law. The Fifth Amendment, that says you don't have to testify against yourself. You don't have to go into court and confess. You can say, I plead the Fifth, and not answer the questions of the court. That is the rule of law. The idea that you have the right to a speedy trial, that it should be in public and you should have a jury, and that you get to know what the evidence is against you. That's the Sixth Amendment, and that's very much a part of the rule of law. The Eighth Amendment, which is no cruel and unusual punishment and no excessive bail, that too sets up the rule of law. Outside of the Bill of Rights, with those first 10 amendments to the Constitution, there's another important amendment that helps establish the rule of law, and that's the 14th Amendment, and it expanded the rule of law to all citizens. The 14th Amendment was passed after the Civil War and after slavery was ended. So it includes former slaves as citizenship, gives them citizenship, and it makes sure that they are protected by the rule of law. Now, there's 6 components that make up the rule of law. One is the accountability to the law. This is kind of like with checks and balances. Even public officials are not above the law. The president can be put in check and impeached by Congress if he breaks the law. The next component is the idea of due process or fair process. This is the idea that we have rules set up and that the government has to follow those. So example of this would be your Miranda rights. If a police officer arrests you, they have to read you your rights and let you know that you have the right to speak to a lawyer and not answer any of their questions. The next component is this idea that decisions should be based on law, what we also call legitimacy. If a person is accused of doing something wrong, they have the right to be told what the evidence is. This is, of course, spelled out in the Sixth Amendment. They can't just say, oh, you're under arrest, and not have any evidence as to why you're being arrested. Next is consistent application, or equal application of the law. Each person should be treated the same way within the legal system. Doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, if you're white or black or Latino, you should still be seen the same in the legal system. Next up is the enforcement of the law, or order and security. It's the state's job, whether it is the city, the county, the state, the federal government. Their job, in part, is to prevent crime and violence of every sort. So we have all these numerous different police forces that uphold the laws, and criminals face punishment if they break those laws. The last one is transparency of institutions, or what we refer to as access to justice. This is the idea that the legal system is to be seen and understood by the general public. So the public has access to the legal system. A lot of high-profile cases, like the O.J. Simpson murder trial, they're going to be seen on TV. This is part of that transparency of the institution. If it's something that a lot of citizens are interested in, they'll actually put the entire court proceedings on TV. Now, of course, the debate remains, though, is how much is the rule of law really understood and put into place here in our nation. There's always exceptions to the rules, and there's tons of controversy that surround this. We'll be talking about that further in class. That's it for this time.